The fisherman, a skilled fisherman, skilled in music, took his flute and his nets to the seashore. Standing on a projecting rock, he played several tunes in the hope that the fish, attracted by his melody, would of their own accord dance into his net, which he placed below. At last, having long waited in vain, he laid aside his flute, and casting his net into the sea, made an excellent haul of fish. When he saw them leaping about in the net upon the rock, he said, "O you most perverse creatures, when I piped you would not dance, but now that I have ceased, you do so merrily." That is the Fisherman Piping from Aesop Fables. This is Folktales for Grown Folks, and I am Brother High Tim. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Excuse me for the couple of second pause because this is on iHeartRadio now. I was trying to send out to some of my listeners who might have been on the social networks. I was trying to send out the link, so I apologize for you for the pause. I will adjust it and come up with another system. But now, here we go. Now, in this story, for me, one of the things that popped up was this fisherman misunderstood cause and effect, the concept of cause and effect. He wasn't necessarily, it didn't appear to me that he was the wisest fisherman, because obviously he had been surviving basically by luck or by habit, because he didn't really understand. It appears to me that he didn't understand the cause of him catching fish. So he thought that if he was to take his flute down and start piping, that the fish would dance to his music, because maybe he had other people dancing to his music. Maybe he had people reacting to him in a certain way. So he thought he could take his flute down and produce a music that would make the fish just jump out into his net. Now, I would call him a skilled fool. Like many of us, in some ways, we're like this fisherman. We're skilled fools. We know what we're supposed to do, but we don't really know why we do it or how it works. It's sort of like, most of us, we don't really understand electricity, but we still are able to walk in and turn on a light switch and expect it to work. We don't need to know how the damn electricity works. We don't need to know how it hits the filament and causes the filament to heat up to produce the light in the room, but we know that it works. We don't know how it works, but we're able to use it. So not knowing how something works does not mean that we cannot use it. As human beings, we've been able to do that for years, and we will come up with myths, and we will come up with ideas how things work. The fisherman also showed misguided hope, because he was hoping that the fish would just jump into the nets. Many of us in our lives, we also have misguided hopes, and we allow these misguided hopes to kind of derail some of the stuff that we're doing, because the things don't happen. The fact of the matter is, in our lives, we can be applying certain pressures in certain places, not realizing that we're applying pressure in the wrong places and still expecting effects. And if we just adjust where we apply the pressure in our life, we can have the effects that we want. Also, this fisherman was letting his hobby of music interfere with his work. So it took him a long time to realize that the fish wasn't going to just jump in the net, and he finally decided to do the work. Now, he wanted, and now another thing I noticed about this is that this fisherman wanted to get the benefits of what a fisherman is supposed to do with no work. And many of us, in the modern day especially, look for ways for us to receive rewards without getting work. There is no rewards without no work. No, if you don't put no libations, is what I call real libations. If you don't put no blood, sweat, and tears in, you are not going to get anything out. And if you are getting something out of it without applying and truly applying yourself, you need to really watch out, because something's going to happen and it's going to wipe you out. Whether it's going to wipe you out financially, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, you always got to put something in to get something out. And then also I noticed with this folktale, using wrong tools, using the tools in the wrong way. The flute is a powerful tool in the right arena. A net is a powerful tool in the right arena. This fisherman kind of had his tools mixed up. And in life, many of us, we get our tools mixed up. We're using the wrong tools, just like applying the pressure in the wrong place. Sometimes we're using the wrong tools. We are good with the tools, but we're using the tool in the wrong place. So evaluate your own life and see what tools you may be using in the wrong place. You may be doing exactly what this fisherman was doing. You're playing a flute when you actually need to be throwing a net and putting your back into it and pulling the fish in. Or you might be using a net when you actually might need to be using a flute. Both of them are powerful tools if they are used in their arenas, in their proper arenas. When he finally laid down the tools and used the right tool, he got the result that he wanted. He pulled the fish in. And this goes back to one of my points earlier. He thought that the fish was jumping because of the music he had played earlier, not realizing that the fish was jumping because they wanted to escape. He didn't understand. Obviously, this is not a wise fisherman. He's not a smart fisherman. He didn't understand that the fish was hopping because they wanted to escape. He assumed that they was hopping now because they were dancing to the music that he had played earlier. No, they was trying to escape. But he didn't have to understand that it wasn't the flute music that they was jumping to from the past in order for him to benefit from them being in his net now. We don't always have to understand why we do some of the things we do. We don't have to understand it to make it work for us. For thousands of years, people didn't understand that the overflow of rivers, or that rain fell for. They didn't understand why the rain fell, but they understood that they could use it to grow their crops. Same thing in Egypt. They didn't understand why the Nile flooded. They didn't need to know why. All they needed to know is that the Nile was going to flood, and get to a point where they was able to predict it and get the benefit from it. You don't have to understand why some things work for you. What you have to understand is that when it works for you, can you take advantage of its working? And then you could use science, you could use your thinking skills to figure out why it's working for you. All right? Now, take the lesson of this fisherman and use it in your life. Now, this is why I call it folktales for grown folks. Grown folks, get out of it what you could get out of it. Share it with your kids. But also, I'm going to say this. Then I'm going to close. Now, take the lesson, make some comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you pulled up out the story. You get the book. I already told you in the earlier things. It's by a book company called Forgotten Books. Go to ForgottenBooks.com. Please support them. This book was very inexpensive, and they also offered a book for free. Get the book, and you can follow along with me in these fables, and I'm gonna be doing some other fables. But right now, I'm really big on Aesop. So take what you can, throw away what you. Now, as they say, eat the fruit, spit out the seeds. You know what I'm saying? Get what you can. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for your time. This is Brother Hot Tim. Check me out at www.Gye-Nyame.com. You can get all my radio shows. You get all my podcasts. Check it out. They're all free. You can download them for free. You can also check out some of the other stuff that I have, my books. You can check out some of the writings I do on my blog and some of the guest writers that I'm going to start presenting hopefully in this year. So with that, I say peace, and I pray that your day is as beautiful as you are.